Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today's video is all about the 2019 tomato grow-off. I'm going to be planting both my contestants, so to speak, here in this raised bed. I'll show you how I set up the planting hole today, get them in the ground, and take care of them over the season, and hopefully I have a chance of winning the contest. Contestants will be Kim from CaliKim Gardening Home, who I competed against last year, and I did edge her just a little bit in the red beefsteak category. This year we've expanded it. We're going to be doing red beefsteaks, and we're going to be doing any tomato plant that you choose to grow the most weighted or highest poundage tomato. I'm going to be growing the Big Zack. That has been recommended to me from so many subscribers. I figured I had to grow the Big Zack for the biggest tomato. Our other contestant, who you may already know from Roots and Refuge, is Jess. And so many subscribers have already told me she is the tomato queen in the South, that I have no chance, that Kim and I should pack it in. And I just want to say, here in the Northeast, we don't have a king, we don't have a queen, but we have some of the world's best tomato growers. So I think we will give her and all of her followers a run for the money. The contest should be a lot of fun. This year we are inviting anybody to join in. You can find the rules in our Facebook group, Gardening Coast to Coast. I will put a link in there. You can grow the red beefsteak, or you can grow whatever tomato variety you wish to grow the largest poundage tomato. Or you could do both. Whatever you'd like to do is up to you. And again, you can find the rules. I'll drop the link. I'm going to be setting up this raised bed area with worm castings. I am affiliated with Fertilizer. I highly recommend them for your worm castings. You are getting castings. You're not just getting some castings and organic matter. You are getting worm castings pound per pound in there. That will be my secret weapon. My other secret weapon, since I did beat Kim last year in the red beefsteak variety, I'm going to be using this wonderful product that I got from CaliKim GardeningHome.com. It's her signature smart pot. I'm going to be growing the red beefsteak right in here, and this way, Kim, you can possibly be part of the winning red beefsteak this year. I'm just kidding. And it's going to actually just sit right in my raised bed, and the root systems will grow through there. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. All right, let me clean this up a little bit, and we will get to planting my red beefsteak. I'll select the best one out of here, and my Big Zack. And again, I should probably say this. Our contest started on April 15th. I started these a few days before. I've been sort of getting my butt kicked by the homestead trying to get everything set up. So I dropped these a little bit early, but I'll finish up a little bit early. Check out the rules if you want to participate at our Facebook group, Gardening Coast to Coast. I really encourage you to join. It's all for fun. It'll be a great experience for us to share the different varieties of tomatoes we're growing, talk about our successes, talk about our failures, and just really share our gardens with everybody. All right, let me get to putting these in the ground. So for container tomatoes, the whole key is making sure the mix that you create holds moisture and has nutrients in it. Right in here is about an inch worth of compost. It's fully broken down. Whatever compost you use, make sure it's fully broken down. If it's still breaking down, if it's still composting, it's going to take nitrogen from your plants and it'll challenge your plant. So in here, I'm going to put in about not even a tablespoon worth of lime. Lime will add calcium. If you've ever seen a tomato plant that has the bottom of the tomato browning out, that's called blossom end rot. And that usually happens because there's a watering issue, not because there's a lack of calcium, but it can happen because of a lack of calcium. So we just put in a teaspoon. If this dries out, if your tomato root system dries out, it can't pull in nutrients, it can't pull in the calcium, and your plants can suffer with blossom end rot. So we got about an inch worth of compost there. Going to put in, that's about 2 tablespoons of any organic fertilizer. Mix it in. Now, the whole key is moisture retention. This is peat moss. We're going to put in a good amount. At least a third of the container is going to be peat moss or cocoa coir. You just want this to be able to hold water. I'm going to put in my worm castings. That's about a half a cup. And as I'm doing this, I'm just mixing everything together. And then to fill up the rest of it, you can use any soil you want. You can use something from your garden, something you purchased, it really doesn't matter. So let me use a shovel for that. And I'm kind of eyeballing it. 1/3 peat moss cocoa coir to 50% peat moss cocoa coir. Depends on where you're living, how much issues you have with lack of rain, drought, high heat. I'm going to leave some room on here, put in my other half a cup of worm castings, and just mix this together. The inch that I'm leaving on top is because I'm going to mulch on top of here with shredded hardwood. That will help the moisture stay in here. So that looks pretty good. And again, general principles, you don't have to follow anything 100% when it comes to container mixes, just the principles. Something needs to be in there that's going to hold water. Loosen the root ball just a little bit. Going to pinch off those first leaves. Going to plant it to about here. When you plant a tomato, it has the roots in the bottom. They'll go down to depth. Obviously it'll be different in this container. And then they also send out surface roots from whatever part of the plant is buried. And then we're going to water this in with a water-soluble fertilizer at the end. Alright, that's the red beefsteak. Let's get the big Zac into the earth bed. So the whole key to growing large tomatoes in your garden when you're planting in your earth beds is to really, I think, set up the planting hole, the planting area. This goes down about 12 inches. The native soil here is this red clay mix, which is full of micronutrients. And then I filled my boxes with a 50% leaf grow, 50% topsoil. I've mixed in some organic fertilizers in here already. I'm not going to add anything to this. There's plenty of calcium in here. You don't need a lot of calcium, and the reason I talk about that again is blossom end rot does happen if your plant doesn't take in calcium. But it usually happens because calcium's in the ground or in your containers, but it's unable to pull it in. So you could add a little bit of lime if you want to, but it's not really necessary. In the bottom of the hole, half a cup of the worm castings, my secret ingredient. And then I still like to put in a couple handfuls of peat moss or cocoa coir, and then you're just going to really mix it in. Moisture is a big deal. You don't want your tomato roots or any roots of your vegetables to completely dry out. And you can see how this is blending together nicely. I'm mixing in the native soil, the red clay, with the fill that I put in here. Pull out any rocks and then just pull it in. Now when I planted this, I just put a cardboard on top of the grass, fill the box. So when you dig down, you're going to dig out some grass clumps. Take off the good stuff. You can throw the rest away. And then another half a cup of the worm castings across the top. We're going to water this in with a water-soluble fertilizer. I'll talk about what you can use. Break up the red clay. Some more grass. Nice worm, keep that in there. Let's bury the worm. Select, here's a big Zac by itself. We'll use that. Take off the first leaves. Plant about up to here. Again, this root system will grow down into the depth, and then from the part that we bury, we'll send out surface roots. So we've set up the planting area. That will help it get established. We're also going to take care of the surrounding area in future videos. And that's all you do. to plant a tomato. Keep it simple. You don't have to overdo it. If you wanted to put in some organic fertilizer, you could sprinkle a handful, 1 or 2 tablespoons right in here. You don't need anything special. I don't want to overfeed or do anything because this is my first year planting in these new beds. My thought is there's plenty of nutrients, so I don't need to overdo it. Alright, let me just go get some water-soluble fertilizer and we'll finish up. The big Zac is in. This is a vase from a thrift store, and over here that's actually from a thrift store too, and that was for a cheese platter. If you're in an area where the nights might get too cold and the temperature's going to drop, you know, into the 30s, or the days aren't warm enough, you can protect your tomato just by doing that. I hopefully won't need it here because I got started a little bit late, again because I'm trying to build all the beds out here, but I think things will be okay. But pick up, anyway, only like $1 or $2, so you can pick up the glass vases, any kind of glass that can be used as a cloche. Put the mulch down on top. That's set up. Now I want to talk about something that I think is really important. I am 90% organic. I set this up with compost, worm castings, organic fertilizer, but I also use the chemical fertilizers. And this is where I always say everything on the planet is a chemical, including your organic fertilizers. Just because a fertilizer is made by human beings doesn't mean it's bad for you. And the reason I say that is maybe you don't have access to the organic fertilizers, maybe you need to use the chemical fertilizers. I don't want you to feel badly because people tell you chemical fertilizers are poisonous. They are not. They do not harm you. They do not harm your plant. This is 1/4 strength. I recommend using it at 1/4 strength, any of the chemical fertilizers. It's just not necessary. Give your plant a nice quick soaking, and that's all you're putting on there. That's never going to damage your soil life. The myth of chemical fertilizers killing soil life is true, but it's from the 1930s, 40s when these fertilizers were first used, and they just did it on a mass scale. Anyway, feel free to use what you want to use, what's locally available to you, to join our contest. I thank Kim, I thank Jess, and all of you for being part of the 2019 Grow Off. I think it's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate having you all in my life. I have a great time really sharing my garden with all of you and seeing what you guys are doing. Check out the description. You can find the Facebook group Gardening Coast to Coast and the rules for the contest. Thanks for watching.